Скажите, как будет готово просто.
Да, я думаю, что теперь точно готово.
Okay.
Да, очень извиняюсь.
Yeah, sorry for the delay. I think we went live at this moment. So thanks to everyone who joined us. So thank you for choosing us at this Friday evening, not choosing drinking wine and drinking beer, but you can do it at the same time while listening to me. So today we're going to have a webinar, how to make an effective presentation. So your KEARNEY team for today is me, Alexander Umrikhin. I'm senior business analyst in KEARNEY. I'm worked here for 3 years. And so I finished bachelor's and in High School of Economics in Moscow. I mostly focus on heavy industries projects and with the different functionality areas, so strategy projects, organizational transformations, operational excellence projects, and process design for IT implementation. Also today with me, our best HR specialist, Nelly Gasanova. She will support me in questions related to our recruiting process. So let's move to our agenda for today. Firstly, we will have an introduction to our company, to KEARNEY. Then we will have a main part of our presentation. It's effective presentation techniques. And the last part will be Q&A session. So the total length of our presentation is about 1 hour. But if you will have really good questions, we could prolong it a little bit. So let's move to the first section. KEARNEY, so who are we? Basically, we are a global consulting firm. So we do have offices in more than 40 countries. We have more than 3,500 people work with us. And we are like a general consulting firm, so we do not specialize on any functional or industry topic. So we cover, we could cover potentially all the large firms in the world, and we do serve more than 3/4 of Fortune Global 500 list. So this slide, you could see our government, our chief guys phrases. And for example, the first one is a phrase of our managing partner, Alex Liu. So we take joy in every success achieved side by side with our clients. And we have here our main, principle that we follow joy at work. So that means for us as a consultants, the work is probably one of the biggest parts of our life, and we need to have a joy at work. So because we need to have a joy in our life. So moving to the next slide, I believe that it's the most common question for the person who currently student and have an interest in joining consulting industry. So what is the difference between all these consulting firms like KEARNEY, Company 1, Company 2? And I will try to explain to you why we are different. So globally, I believe, and we have formulate this as a company, that we are like a result-oriented company. So let's talk more action, because we are not delivering our client the slides. We are delivering our client a result. You mean it's a benefit, it's a EBITDA or profit impact. And we always try to implement our solutions that they become a real result, real effect. As for our Moscow office, I strongly believe that our main advantage to other firms that we do not have a large office, so it's relatively small, let's say. So we have around 60 employees in Moscow office, and that means I think we have two main advantages. First one is that we know each other, so everyone knows everyone, and we are not just the colleagues. I believe that many of my colleagues are my friends, so we could go like go out on Friday, if it's not a COVID time, of course, and go to play basketball with my colleagues. So we do our business like a strong team in Moscow. And the second advantage is the competition to become a KEARNEY employee in Moscow is much higher than for other companies, just because we have less employees. So the competition is higher. So we do in our recruiting process, we consider to have the best and the best candidates, and I believe that we receive these best candidates. As for our career path in KEARNEY, so it's pretty the same as for other consulting firms. So you start with an intern or junior business analyst, and then follow this path. Go to business analyst, then SBA, then associate, manager, principal, and partner. And as it showed in this slide, the first positions, the main competences that you need to have as analytical skills and problem solving, but it decreases while becoming more senior. So, but at the same time, project management is the most important for roles like associate, like manager. But in the most senior roles, like principal and partner, you need to focus on your business development and client relationships and the thought leadership. I think that I believe like the shortest journey from joining KEARNEY like an intern or business analyst to partner level potentially could be around like 7 years, but it's quite unrealistic and probably like too fast. So commonly, I believe that it's about like 10 years or more to like, or even more to like complete this journey. As about internship at KEARNEY, it's probably the most interesting for you. So we offer like two potential positions, yes, for graduates and for students. So as for students, like for last year bachelor and first or second year master student, we offer an internship. It's commonly 6 to 9 months. Then you getting promoted to JBA if it's everything okay. But if you already have an experience, so 1 or 3 years of full-time experience, you could join KEARNEY as a JBA. Yes, and then after 6 to month project, you become a business analyst if your performance was good. But I need to like provide an example. An example is me, but I became from intern to business analyst, but I wasn't a JBA. So I think in 6 months, I joined KEARNEY in January, and in July, I became a business analyst. So it was like only 6-month journey. As for our recruiting process for juniors, we have 3 steps. First one is screening. Second one is test. It's a GMAT-like test. And the third one is interviews. We have, I believe, like 2 rounds for juniors. First round is one behavioral and one case interview with SBA or associate level KEARNEY employee, and the final round is one case interview with senior level employee in KEARNEY, means manager, principal, or even partner. Okay, now I'm finished with the part about KEARNEY. So I think all the questions we will move to the last part of our presentation, and now let's go to our main part about effective presentation. So here we have 3 parts of effective presentation. First one is communication strategy development. So what does it mean? So before starting make a presentation, you need to define your communication goals you need to define and analyze your target audience to build a strategy, to build your communication strategy. Second part, to build an effective presentation, is to structure your document in a logical way. It's pretty obvious that we are consultants and we try to do everything in a logical, structured way. So that's what helps us to bring our client like clear solutions. And you need also to define, will you use inductive or deductive logic in your presentation, based on your goals of presentations or your audience in this presentation. And the last part of building an effective presentation is creating a storyboard and visualization for this presentation. So you need to understand what is the storyboard, what is the main topics that you should cover, what are the main messages that you want to bring to your audience, and to prepare a slide with a visually appealing plots, text boxes, I don't know, some schemes or maps to make it like just visually appealing and your audience will like it. So let's cover these 3 topics during this part of our presentation. First one is about communication strategy. So what do we need to build an effective communication strategy? First of all, we need to understand and clearly phrase our goals. So for example, as for today, I need to understand what are my goals for today. So firstly, I want to teach you about an effective presentation, about techniques, tips, tricks for this, about an approach for an effective presentation. It's my first goal. And my second goal is to promote KEARNEY brand, to make you interest in our company, to make you even to make you join our company. So that's my 2 goals for today. I clearly understand it, and I think all my slides in these presentations help me to reach my goals. The second part of building a communication strategy is to focus on target audience. So you need to understand who is your audience, who will listen to you, and understand what they want from you to tailor your messages. So let's move firstly to our goals. So how do clear understanding of goals helps us? Firstly, your team members, if you work as a team, can learn about their interrelated tasks and focus on achieving a common goal. So if you work as a team, you probably do a separate work, but if you have and clearly understand your common goal, so you will do effort that will be helpful to reaching this goal. The second, your advantage is you can set feedback expectations for your presentation. Then you can justify the decisions and conclusions presented in your document. And the last advantage is that you can assess if your speech was a success and pinpoint the areas for further improvement. When you decided and defined what are your presentation goals, so then you should move to your audience evaluation. So when you evaluate your audience, you need to consider the following stuff. So first of all, it's personal interests of participants, then it's role and power of influence, pain points, the need for information, the preference of your audience, for example, style of your presentation. Also, you need to understand who is your influence group. So who are these influence? Do they have different goals? Do they have different expectations from this presentation? And if you know this presentation goals and audience evaluations, you can build a clearly effective communication strategy. So you will understand what key topics to be covered, what key points to be included or omitted, what pain points should be or should not be used, time distribution between the sections or the slides for your speech, analytics in the body of your presentation, so how to structure or what way to present your arguments, And the key stakeholder management, of course, is a really important topic to manage your stakeholder during your presentation. More details on your audience analysis. So basically, you need to ask yourself like 3 main questions. First one is, are the stakeholder likely to help you or disrupt your work? Second one is, which stakeholders are involved in the actual decision making? And the last question is, what power does each stakeholder have? When you ask yourself these questions and find an answer, so you can split your stakeholders in different groups, like it's shown in the matrix in the slide. It would be opponents, allies, supporters, antagonists, and neutrals. And you should tailor your message and understand how do each group react to your words, to your slides, to your presentation. So mostly the goal for the allies is not to lose them. Yes, to just them stay your allies during the presentation, and they will help you. They will help to answer questions from the audience. They will help you to defend from opponents. As for opponents, you need to like evade the pain points. You need to understand if they don't like this topic and you don't feel yourself confident in this topic, probably it's better not to cover it in your presentations, because just your opponents could kill your arguments and beat you, and as a result will be you will not be happy with this result. So when you understand your audience, you could tailor this message for different groups and to understand how to manage each participant and each stakeholder of your presentation. That's all about part about communication strategy, and let's move to the part about structuring our documents. So this slide you can see like 6 example of what effective documents should consist of. So firstly, effective documents should maintain logical structure. So quite obvious, and I don't think that I need to do any comments to this. Second one, that effective documents fuel curiosity and effectively manage the expectations of your audience. Also, effective documents promote cohesion of perception and increase the speaker's level of trust. Then, of course, effective documents respond to the needs of your listeners by guiding them through the story experience. And it's quite obvious, but effective documents are based on proven facts. And also, they boost the listener's interest with examples and emotion sharing. Let's go more deeper in the like a document part. So normally the presentation includes 3 parts. It's introduction, body, and action plan. First one is introduction. In this part you should describe a situation, yes, so our current state, trigger point, and overriding question. Then the body is the main part of your presentation. So here you put your key message, the answer to the overriding questions, and add an argument for this answer. So you should structure it. We will go into details how to structure it next. But you should like put in this part the arguments, supporting arguments, and some data to support it. And the last part of your presentation commonly is the action plan. So when you came up with a solution, you should present how we'll implement this solution, what risks for us. So, and to describe it in your presentation at the end. As I said, first part, it's introduction, and you should catch like this 100% degree of involvement. You can see a plot of involvement by time during the presentation, and commonly in the beginning everyone listens to you. So as for my presentation today, we're like 20 plus minutes from our beginning, so I suppose that some of you already not listening to me, so it's not the best point to make an introduction. But if you want to make your audience involved as much as you can, so your introduction should be catchy, it should be really interesting for the audience. So it's your opportunity to involve everyone in your presentation, to make them hear you. So it's right moment to describe the situation, build a common background, and ensure clear understanding of the situation for your following storytelling. So it's really critical part of your message, because if you lose an interest of your listeners in this moment, so the presentation will go bad. For main part, as for body of your presentation, we commonly use like two logical structures. First one is inductive reasoning, and second one is deductive reasoning. As for inductive reasoning, it's a technique when you start with the conclusion. Yeah, so you start with, okay, your company should invest in the end project. And then you support this conclusion with a few arguments. You can like detailize them. Commonly, you will use this technique of presentation when you present it to CEO level, yes, to really senior level of the audience, because in any time the CEO could tell you, okay, I'm out of time. I have a next meeting, so I see your. I see the result of your work. You recommend us to invest in this project. I believe that my employees agreed with your arguments. So good job. Let's invest in this project. But also, you can structure your presentation in a deductive way. So start with building a story, like somehow like you tell that your analyzing process. So for example, you tell that, okay, we collected the market data, so then we like made a list of potential projects and X, Y, Z. Then we build a model and assessed the return rate for these projects and understood the end project has the most return rate. So just because of that, we recommend you to invest in this project. It's deductive reasoning. So in this way, you mostly do this when you firstly present your solutions to the client team, and you need to make everyone understand how did you came with these solutions, what was your analytical process. And the last part of your presentation is a conclusion as an action plan. Hopefully the degree of involvement at the, I don't know, like last minutes of presentations reach 100, and it's a good point to encourage your audience to take an action. So give them recommendation regarding next steps, emphasize the strong point of your solution, and outline the risks in case of failure to complete the action. So everyone put in the hat. So our conclusion is to invest in project N, but we have like several risks and we should consider it. Okay, so we finished with a part about document structuring, and now we're going to part about building a storyboard and a visualization of our slides. So storyboard is like your MVP presentation. Yes, when you have this first version of slides, or even not slides, but only a title messages. So what storyboard will, how storyboard will help you? So firstly, it's just stick the structural layout and revise it. So you can use document history, take a panoramic view on the entire presentation. So it helps you to understand the global picture of your presentation. The second advantage of using and building a storyboard is to track your progress. Because if you understand that, okay, I have a storyboard for 20 slides, I just easily track that at this moment we have 10 slides filled, 10 slides is still empty, so we were like 50% work done, and just 10 slides left. We easily track it, and also it helps you to work as a team. So it's really common practice in our work when we have a meeting with a client. Pretty important meeting, I don't know, with CEO, for example, we need to build like a 10 slides presentation. And first we start with the storyboard, and then we assign a responsible person for each slide. So for example, if we have a 10 slide presentation, we have 5 persons in the team. So we assign like 2 slides for each one. And each one understands what slide is assigned, that I'm responsible for this slide, and I'm going to draw it. So it's pretty easy to work as a team when we have a storyboard and everyone understands the storyboard and the overall goal of this presentation, overall flow of logical message of this presentation. How to make a storyboard? So you can see an example on the right side of the slide. It's like just a draw in the paper. You can, before you draw on your presentation in PowerPoint or other system, you just can draw it on a paper just to understand what I want to show to my audience. Then, like other option, other technique is just to have it your key message to understand it, then to understand the main messages at every slide. So for example, like I said, we have 10 slides, and we will start our storyboard by making a title, an action title for every slide. So we will put, for example, we recommend you to invest in N project. And then it's the first slide. I don't know, it could be not even we recommend you to invest in N project. I believe the title will be, we'll recommend you to invest in N project, and it will gain you like a 1 billion EBITDA effect. Then you will have such titles at each slide. To create a storyboard, you need to answer the several questions. So what kind of strategy we will use for the audience? How much time do we have? It's really important to understand because it just helps you to understand the amount of slides you need to draw, you need to prepare. How much time will it take us to deliver the message, and how long the discussion will be? It's a really important question too, because some slides you will just tell everyone the message, everyone will understand, and there will not be any discussion. So just 1 minute to present the slides. But other option, when you present slide and audience starts to discuss it, and it could be like easily like 30 minutes to discuss a slide, or even 1 hour. I had like different examples when the topic was interesting for everyone and they had different opinions on the slide, so the discussion was really long. Also, we need to understand which slides are most important for achieving our goals, which parts do we need to elaborate, and what are the ideas we want to convey. Let's move to the visualization. So it's an example or KEARNEY format slide. So we have a title of slide at the left part. Yes, you can see it with this purple text. And the main part of slide is the other area at the right side. it's really bigger because you need to put here some visualization, graphics, text with conclusions that support your main idea, that support idea and help you to explain it to your audience. As about title, it's nice. I believe that consultants, one of the most important skills for consultant is to put the message in this, I don't know, like 20 words of your title. I believe that about 20 words. So for every slide, you should put the main message, the main idea of the slide in these 20 words. And what helps you to make this message catchy is verbs. Yes, and as you can see in this example, the top line is right example and the bottom line is wrong examples. So, for example, the left one is first title is US attacked. So, okay, I see the title, I see the photo, and it becomes pretty interesting for me. I want to know what happened. US was attacked. It's really not happening like every day. And in wrong example, the title is photo of World Trade Center. So in this case, I just okay, is the photo. Okay, of course I see the photo and it looks pretty interesting for me. But if I just see the title, I wouldn't be interested in this paper, in this article. Really, photo of the Trade Center, and it's a really common mistake for everyone when you put just like this description title in your main title. It's pretty I don't know, like wrong, because you do not catch your audience attention with these titles. And the second example, for example, Iraq war ends. Okay, it's a really global news. And the second example, wrong, army news. Okay, army news. I really don't like military and don't want to know about army news. So I would not read this article. Okay, as for titles, as I said, main thing that you need to remember, use verbs, use action titles that describes message of your slide and help to everyone to understand the message of the slide. Let's move to graphic charts, flow charts, and structured text. It's three things that help us to visualize your ideas, to support them. So let's go deeper to each of this, I don't know, like visualization techniques, let's say. Graphic charts. So for different data types, you need to use different chart types. So let's go one by one. For example, data type is structure. So commonly we use either bar chart or pie chart. Personally, I don't like pie charts because for me it's easily to understand that one bar is longer than another than to understand if one sector is bigger than another. So that's why I prefer using bar charts in this case. Also for structure, we could use waterfall graphics, as you can see at the bottom side of this table. Commonly we use this waterfall to show our client the effects from different initiatives. So for example, initiative 1 will give you like 1 billion effect to EBITDA. The initiative 2 will give you 0.2 effective to EBITDA, and then we sum up these effects and have this result as the right bar of this waterfall, the total bar. The next data type is quantity. It's pretty simple. When you want to show some numbers, you will use either histogram or bar. The third type of data is dynamics. So commonly you will use line chart for the dynamics, but I think in several cases you could use a histogram if, for example, yearly data, and you have just, for example, 4 or 5 years. It will look pretty strange if you will use line, because it will just be not so pretty and visually appealing. So in this case, you will use a histogram. As for fourth type of data is frequency. So here's pretty the same. You will use either histogram or line. And the last type of data is correlation. So you can use a bar to show if your correlation is high and positive or low and negative. And also you could use a scatter to show that, okay, like x and y, x and y, they have a linear dependence, and they look at the plot like this. The next type of visualization is diagrams. So here an example of 6 different diagrams. Let's go one by one. First one is process. So it's just an example of a pretty simple process when you first buy something, then you deliver something, and then you have 2 options: just sell something or lose something. It's pretty usual to visualize process at this like arrow, I don't know, like arrows, something like that. I don't know how to call them. Second option to use diagrams is decision tree. So for example, when I want to illustrate how do I choose a beverage for today, so I have 2 options, Coke and water. So I choose water because I don't know, I don't like Coke, I don't like sugar. But then if I choose water, I need to choose a sparkling or still. So probably I don't like still water, so that's why I choose sparkling. And you can see my logic flow through this decision tree. Third diagram is structure. So it's a really common example of structure when you show an org chart of a company. Here is an example when you have a chief executive officer at the top and 4 people who report to him. It's a chief financial officer, CFO, COO, it's a chief operations officer, CIO, it's a chief IT officer, and CTO, I don't know who this guy, probably is chief tech officer. Let's call him this way. Fourth type of diagrams is a hierarchy. So this interesting example when you have a peasants at the bottom, then samurai at the middle level, and a shogun at the highest level. This hierarchy is pretty good to explain that we have different levels of something, and at the top level, the amount of people is less than at the middle level and at the bottom level. And we don't need to, in this case, to show the real numbers or of how many like shoguns do I have, how many peasants. We just need to show that, okay, shoguns, it's less people than peasants. And it's pretty clear when we have this triangle or pyramid. I don't know how to call it. Fifth example is cycle. Here we have an example of a cat life. So it consists of 3 parts: eat, sleep, meow, and repeat. That's how I call it. Okay, that's 3 main parts of cat life, and we could show, if we have a cycle, some different steps of this cycle, and to visualize it. And the last diagram type is metaphor. So here we have like a health building, where health is the roof of the building, sleep is a fundamental construction of this building, and we have 3 columns: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Pretty easy, easy to remember for your audience. So you can see that this 6 types of diagrams. They're really easy. You can look at and understand what do they mean. So use this simple visualization, and always took your attention that all the blocks, all the text is the same. So for example, if we look at decision tree, so the length and the height of all these blocks is the same. So it's really important to make the slide visually appealing. The last type of your visualization is the text blocks. So basically we have 3 types here. First one is tables, an example of a matrix movie, and we assess the view enjoyment of each part. So I believe that everyone watched these matrix films, and I agree with this assessment that the first one movie was the most enjoyable, the second one was like 3/4, and the last one was just 1/4. This tables works best for organizing non-quantitative information. To minimize, you need to minimize the lines for easy perception. You need to align the row height if it's possible to it. As you can see, the row height is the same, and add indicators to visualize the ratings. Second type is columns. So here is like I don't know, 3 types of coffee. I'm not a coffee expert, so sorry for the mistakes if they are here. So for example, latte ingredients are espresso, cream, and foam. Mocha ingredients are espresso, milk, and chocolate, and cappuccino ingredients espresso, milk, and foam in proportions and we have on this slide. These columns work best when you need to show several items on the slide. So you need to use overarching column structure where possible, add illustrations, like in this example, to make it text more engaging, and use shorter words to avoid this hyphenation. So it, like when the word puts on the 2 lines. And the last type of your text blocks is lists. Pretty simple, a structured list. So if I plan my Friday party, so I just have a list. I need to invite Anna and Maria, Ivan and Michael, and buy 1 box of beer and 4 pizzas. This type works best for conclusions and recommendations. So you need to group items by meaning, type of chronology, use more than 1 level of bullet points, and be consistent when phrasing the bullet points on the same level. So by this slide, we finished with this visualization examples, and then let's go to the real example of the slides. I'm sorry that this slide in Russian, but as for me, even I'm native Russian speaker, I will not understand anything in this slide, because for me it's looked unstructured. It's large amount of text. I don't understand even anything. I need to like it will took me, I don't know, like 10 minutes to understand this slide. So the readability of this slide is really extremely low. How to make this slide more effective? How to just put it in good visualization in like KEARNEY way? The first example, and its readability is better, but I'm sure that it's not like a ideal readability. We put it in a structured way. So we begin with the target. Yes, we know that our target is to maximize the efficient use of energy resources. Then we have an actions, and after actions we have a result. It is always a good way to structure your message, to have a target, actions, and results, like 3 steps. And also at this slide you can see action title at the left part, so you can just read this action title and understand the main message of this slide. It's a second example, but I also have a third example. I believe that is the best of these 3. I don't know, what do you think? The action title is the same, but I used like the more space at the slide to make everything bigger, to these letters and figures have a space, yes, just them to breathe, because now you can easily read it. When you have this text and these letters jumping on each other, it's pretty hard for you to read this text. When you have the space, you can read it in a structured way. So I can read the first action, then I understand the second action, and then the third one. Then I come to the results, and I can easily understand each plot at this slide. So that's how we came from this one slide. Yes, so it was really strange, but you know, I don't know, like 80% of Russian large companies drawing slide in this way. So this example of it's power and energetic ministry. It's a government organization, but I believe that even like business, large companies are drawing slide in this way. But we, as a consultants, of course, we need to draw slide in an effective way, and there's the example. But I still understand that it's not like an ideal slide. So I says this readability as a 75%, because still it's pretty large amount of text, it's pretty large amount of graphics. So mostly I like to use like one graphic at one slide. It's better to have them in different slides with the different messages, because we have only one key message, and just enough to show it at one plot. So at this moment we are finished with our like main part, and we could go to our Q&A session. So I would be happy to answer your questions, and hope that Nelly will help me. Okay, I can see some questions in our Q&A list. Let's go one by one. First one is a question from Dennis. Thanks for the presentation. How could you please tell us more about the active role of KEARNEY, not only strategy development, but also in its implementation? Is it different from other consulting firms? So basically, we always, I think like 99%, if we build a strategy, we offer our client an implementation of the strategy, because we are pretty sure that we can implement it. So we have different implementation projects in Russia and internationally. As about difference from other consulting firms, I believe that not every consulting firm do implementation. Yes, if we talk about some IT implementation projects, we commonly work with different partners, IT companies, because we don't have our own IT competence. We do not like make some IT stuff. I mean like programming, but honestly, I do some Python, but I think I used it at KEARNEY like one time during these 3 years. So as for implementation, of course we do this, but I don't know even what to tell you about like more deeply in more details. So we always try to implement our solutions. So because as I said, we want to see a real result, not just slides and text messages. Then the next question.
Can I comment here?
Yeah, sure.
I think that also depends on the client requests. Not every client asks for the implementation. It might be the second part of the project, like the another project, additional one.
Yeah, sure.
It depends.
Sure. The next question is from Gustav. Hopefully I say the name right. What is the difference between deductive and inductive? So I believe that I answered this question, but still I can reiterate. So deductive when we start with the, I don't know, with our logical flow. How do we came to our solution, like step by step, the analysis, and inductive logic when we start with the solution and then explain the arguments how we did came to this. Then the anonymous question. Thank you for the presentation. Do KEARNEY consultants make slides by themselves, or is there a team which helps to do visualization? Great question, because it is different. It differs. We have a team which helps us to do visualization, but still we do slides by ourselves. So mostly we use these teams when we need to draw slides for, like, for the CEO level, for the governance of the company, because we need to maximize their visually the visual effectiveness, you know. So but if it's like a common slide that you need to discuss with your peer, your client, so I just draw it by myself quickly and go into present it and discuss the slide. The next question from Alona. Is it appropriate to use animations on your slides if you create a business presentations? Yeah, really good question too. I believe that I never seen the animation on our presentations, so we don't use these animations because. But here I'm not sure if it's not like a Russian specific way. Potentially in global markets in US or Europe, where client, I don't know, like more trendy, more probably not so official, we could use this animations, but in Russia, never. I think never. Next question, still from Alona. How complex should be a presentation in terms of information density? It's pretty wide question. You should always have, I think, one main goal of your presentation, one main goal, and all your slides should support this goal. Yes, so it's okay when you, for example, we have a presentation, I don't know, like for only 10 slides when we go to CEO meeting, because when you present it to CEO, he doesn't want to see many slides, to read them, just because he doesn't have enough time for that. But I had different examples. So we had a workshop with our client previous week. We have a 150 slides presentations to discuss with our client. It was really a heavy presentation with many topics to cover. So it differs for your audience and for your goals in your presentation. But you always should consider the time. You need to understand how much time do you have and to tailor your presentation for this time. What types of presentation does KEARNEY mostly create, for reading or for presenting? If it's presentation is for live presenting, what are the main rules to create it? Okay, still very good question. I believe that for consultants, we need to balance between this presentation slide and reading slide, because our slides, they should live without us. The client sometimes want to read this presentation without us, and he still need to understand all the message that we tell to him. But of course, we do slides for presentations to present it, and we do not like to draw two versions of slide, one for presentation and one for reading. We always have one version of slide to minimize our work, and that's why we're trying to find this balance. But still, we're trying to tailor these presentations, and we understand that the main goal of this slide is to present it, or the main goal of the slide is to just read it and understand the message. So, for example, for slide for presentation, you will use the size of your text will be much bigger than the slide for reading. But as for KEARNEY, as I said, we always try to make slide either reading or presenting at the same time. But when I spoke to our global colleagues and my last global training, my European colleagues told me that they mostly do slides for presentation, not for reading, because they like to present it, and the client clients don't want from them these slides. They clearly understand the message by the voice, and slides only help them to support this voice message. What is the optimal duration of presentation not to lose listeners' attention? I don't know. I think the usual duration of presentation is 1 hour. I'm not so confident today because I had a 1 hour presentation. I don't know if I did lose listeners' attention or not. Hopefully not. But still, it's different, basic and different and depending on your goals. Yes, so if you have many topics to discuss and your audience really interested to discuss it, it could be 2-hour presentation and still everyone will be involved. But when we discussed, I think like my previous project with our team, what is the best time to have a meeting with the client, so we decided that 1 hour is the best, because after 1 hour you will lose your concentration and the effectiveness of the discussion will become lower. The next question from Vale or Vale. And how do you know how much time you will have for this presentation? Do you usually set timing with the client first and then prepare for the presentation according to it? We always set the timing before the presentation. So I think it probably several times I had when the timing changes, because they told us like, okay, we don't have 1 hour today, we have only 30 minutes, and we should like change our type of communication. But we always try to set timing at first and then build the presentation. And the last question in this list is, how much time of a project in person do you usually dedicate working on the structured part of slides presentation? I think not so much time. I believe it's pretty hard to me to name to say this exact amount of persons, probably like 3 or 5. Mostly when we work as a team, the most juniors, they do not like use their time to structure the presentation. So mostly manager and associates and senior BAs do this work. So we like do like, I don't know, like brainstorming session, and we structure our presentations, and then juniors helps us to fill the slides. So it's really not a large percent. We try to agree on this quick and then move to real work. Okay, I think we are out of questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alexander, for great presentation and for advice about how to do it in a good way. And thank you very much for answering all the questions that our participants had.
Nikita, can I make an announcement, just a short one?
Sure.
We will have an event in 2 weeks, and we will be our consultants. We will be talking about live consultant live on a project. Feel free to sign up for our webinar. It will be very short, and it's usually more engaging. I've posted the link. You can find the link for registration.
Thank you.
So thanks everyone for joining us, for listening to us, So hopefully you will join KEARNEY. So we will wait for you.
Thank you and have a nice weekend.
Yes. Have a nice
Bye.
weekend, everyone.